मोठं कर. हा राहू दे. लिंक पाठवायला डबल कोणतं बंद केलं इथं. लाईन गेलती वाटते.
लिंक आता नवीन बनवावं लागेल. लाईट येतील ना पाठवा मग लाईट गेलती ना मला. पाठवा मला लिंक. ते गणपतीचा फोटो आहे.
@123 येलो मोटर. हो सर पाठवली. ओ सरजी
In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. Let's resume our next session with Dr. Satish Bhatt sir. Sir will guide us on writing a clear title, objectives, and hypothesis. I would like to invite Dr. Shivshankar Hote sir and Dr. Sachin Hote sir to chair the session. Dr. Satish Bhatt sir is Associate Professor in Community Medicine Department at GMC Hingoli. Sir has completed his MBBS degree from GMC Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar in 1999. Sir has done his MS PSM from SRTR Medical College, Ahmedabad, batch 2005. Sir has experience of 21 years of UG teaching and 15 years of PG teaching. Sir has published 23 articles in various international and national journals. Sir has also worked as the editor of Journal of Medical Education and Research. Sir has received Best Paper Award in 21st Maharashtra State Conference of IAPSM and IPHU Maharashtra branch. Sir is also a member of medical education since 15 years. Sir has also delivered more than 14 lectures in various workshops. Now I would like to welcome Sir on that.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I have a double burden because first one is that to keep you awake after this wonderful lunch, and second, to meet the expectations of the delegates after these three wonderful lectures by these eminent speakers. So I will try to do that. So in this first two lectures, we have seen that the research starts with an idea. Every research starts with an idea, and the idea comes from everywhere, can come from anywhere. But if you want to do the research, or if you want to be successful in research, you have to convert this idea into a research question. For that, this research question should have a hypothesis. To complete this research or to be on the path of the research, to the right part of the research, you should have good objectives and a very good title. So this research question, hypothesis, objectives and title are the main pillars of a successful research. So I am here to talk on the research question, hypothesis, objective and the title. So in this session, we are going to see what is a research question, what are the types of research question, what is a hypothesis, types of hypothesis, how to frame good objectives or appropriate objectives, and what is a title, how to write a good title or attractive title, and what are the different types of titles. So these are the contents of my presentation. It is said by PM Jawaharlal Nehru, because we are a poor country, we cannot afford not to do research. Today we are not a poor country, but definitely we are a developing country. So to be a developed country, we have to focus more on the research. You might be knowing a country, a small country on the map of the world, that is Israel. Israel is a very smallest, one of the smallest country. It is a desert country. And with the help of innovations, research in science and technology, they are now one of the developed countries. So they have done a lot of research in agricultural, medical science as well. They have come with the new medical devices, new medical drugs, new medical treatment methods, and with this, they have earned a name as a what we say this startup nation. So this is one of the powerful country in the world. So that's why it is said that the research is so important if you want to be a developed country. So today here there are so many young blood or young researchers are there. So we are relying on you. So I think that you will be definitely contributing in the development of our nation, that is India. So every research study or research design starts with a research question. This is the broad framework of any research study. Research starting with a research question, then deciding the study design, then collecting the data, analyzing the data, and then come to the interpretation. That finishes your research. And last step is the publication, so that everybody should know what research you have done. So this is a broad framework. Coming to the research question. What is a research question? You have heard this terminology many times since morning. Research question is a question that we are trying to answer. So we have seen that we should have an idea, and that idea will be converted into research. You have to ask a question, and that question, that research question, is to be answered. So every research question is to be answered while doing the research, after doing the research. So there can be one research question or more than two research questions on one topic. Sir, Gaurav sir has told you there are certain criteria of writing a research question. These are Spiner's criteria or Spiner's framework. So he has told in detail, he has talked in detail about this Spiner's criteria in the morning. So I will skip this slide. So your study design will be framing a question depending on these types of research. If you are conducting a descriptive study, your research question will be a descriptive research question. If you are going for analytical study or an experimental study, you will be framing an inferential research question. So we'll see one by one what are the different types of research question. Coming to the descriptive research question, it describes something. Sir has told in the morning, it describes a phenomenon. So usually there is one variable. Variable is one characteristics. In this research question, you are studying one characteristics or single characteristics. For example, you can see what is the prevalence of scabies in primary school children in village A. Here you are studying the prevalence of the scabies. So prevalence of the scabies is the variable of your study or the characteristic that you are going to study. Second is, what is the socioeconomic status of the primary school children of scabies in village A? Here, what is your variable? Can anybody tell me what is the variable in this question? UG students, PG students, if there is anybody, PG students? Socioeconomic status, right? Socioeconomic status is your variable of the study. So when you are studying one variable or a single variable, it is a descriptive research question. Second is inferential research question. So what it tells us, it draws the inference from the population. Inference means conclusions. So whenever you are doing a research, you are doing the research on a small sample. You have heard this terminology sample in the morning. The madam has asked one question, how to determine a sample for any research study. So we are studying a sample. We are studying few individuals, and we are saying about the many. Means suppose there are 1 lakh population in an area, but you cannot study the 1 lakh population. So we will be drawing one sample, or we will be studying few individuals, and whatever results you have observed from these few individuals, you will be applying to these 1 lakh population. Means you are drawing one conclusion. You are saying that this is the opinion, or this is the conclusion, or this is the result of 1 lakh population. I will give you a simple example in case of from the kitchen. When your mother cooks rice, if you want to see, nowadays we are using cooker. Suppose you are using a other utensil for cooking rice. If you want to see whether the rice has been cooked or not, what we do, we pick a few grains of rice and we press it and we see whether these grains have been cooked or not. So that is a sample. So for seeing whether these few grains are cooked or not. So if these few grains are cooked, we will say that the whole rice is cooked. So this is the same is there in inferential research question. You are studying few, you are drawing one conclusion, and you are applying it to the whole population. So these are the examples of research question. So okay. Before that, there are two individuals, two variables. Minimum two variables are there. One is independent variable, other is dependent variable. This is the example of inferential research question. What is the relation of socioeconomic status and occurrence of rabies in primary school children in village? Here we want to see association between two variables. Which are the variables? One is socioeconomic status, another is occurrence of rabies or prevalence of rabies. These two variables, we want to see is there any association, whether there is high prevalence in the poor socioeconomic status or low prevalence in the high socioeconomic status. That association is determined by this inferential research question. Second is drug A is better than the drug B in treating the scabies? So we want to see whether drug A is having more cure rate as compared to the drug B. So here variables are drug and the cure rate. So in inferential question, at least two variables are there. There is independent and dependent variable. So again, you have heard this terminology PICO. There are certain criteria for writing the inferential research question. There is PICO, which means P means population, means your research question should include population. I is intervention or exposure. When you are doing an experimental study, it comes as intervention or exposure. Then third is C, that is comparison or control. So when we are doing, so we have to compare it with some other group or some other drug, or we should have another control group. And O is outcome, that is PICO format. So again, this inferential question are of different types. One is association or risk factor based research question. One more example, is overcrowding significantly associated with the prevalence of scabies among primary school children? So here P is population, that is primary school children is our population. I is the intervention or exposure, means that population is exposed to overcrowding. C may not, sometimes C is invisible. Here what is C? C is children without overcrowding. And O is outcome. What is outcome? Prevalence of rabies. So this must PICO format. So this is one type of inferential research question. We want to see the association between one risk factor and the outcome. So here risk factor is overcrowding and outcome is prevalence of rabies. Second type of research question, inferential research question, is intervention or effectiveness based research question. An example, is health education combined with topical permethrin more effective in preventing reinfestation of scabies than permethrin alone in primary school children? Is what we are doing here? We are having two groups. Both the groups are receiving permethrin. But we have added one more intervention in one group. What is that additional intervention? Health education with permethrin. What we want to see here, we want to see whether health education is effective or not. That is an experimental study. Sir has told in the morning. We are doing some intervention. Here we are doing an additional intervention. That is, we are giving health education to the one group. We are not giving health education to other group. Both the groups are receiving the same drug, but additionally we are giving health education to one group. So we want to see whether health education along with drug is more effective than a drug alone. So this is interventional effectiveness based research question. Third is comparative inferential research question. Another example, the same situation is there. Is oral ivermectin more effective than topical permethrin in achieving clinical cure of scabies in primary school children? Again, it is in FIFO format. School children is the population. Oral ivermectin or oral drug is an intervention. Comparator is topical permethrin, another drug. So we are using it in the form of an ointment only, and outcome is cure. We want to see whether oral drug is more effective or only ointment is more effective. This is not comparative inferential question, implicit research question. So we are doing comparison between two different treatment strategies. This is third type of inferential research question. Fourth one is outcome or impact based research question. Is scabies associated with impaired school attendance among primary school children? Again, here there are this is in the PICO format, but C is not there. Sometimes C is not visible or invisible, but C is always there. What is C here? Student without scabies. So we wanted to see whether the students suffering from scabies are having poor attendance as compared to those children who are not suffering from scabies. So we want to compare the outcome. We want to see effect of rabies on their attendance. This is not outcome based or impact based research question. So if we will follow this PICO format or certain criteria for framing a research question, we will be definitely forming a good research question. And good research question will give you the true results. Or if you are having a good research question, your research project or research will be on the appropriate way or on the right path. So there are certain examples of bad research question also. So what is a bad research question? These bad research questions are simple and they are having simple and easy answers. They may be answered in one sentence or one word. Sometimes the research question may not have an answer. Sometimes the answer may be of purely opinion. So what I feel, I can express my opinion. So your opinion cannot be the answer for a research question. If you have to give your opinion for a research question, it means that your research question is a bad. So you should have a good research question like we have seen till now, that PICO format. So all the elements should be there in the research question. And this bad research question often starts with who, where, how many, and when. So these are the characteristics of the bad research question. So we'll see some examples of bad research question as well. Sometimes the research question is not clear or is unclear. Is scabies common in overcrowded houses among school children? So this question is not very common, not clear. So we don't know whether how to quantify it. Common means what? What is the definition of common? So there is no answer for common, the word common. So we can reframe this research question. How to reframe it? So this is a clear research question. Is overcrowding associated with higher prevalence of scabies among primary school children living in the rural community or rural area? So this is a clear research question. What we want to compare here, we want to see whether the houses with overcrowding are having higher prevalence of scabies. Means the children in those houses are suffering from scabies more commonly or is having more magnitude as compared to those who are staying in non-overcrowded houses. This is the clear research question. So your research question should be clear also. Next is sometimes the research question is not focused. It may be unfocused. So this is an unfocused research question. What is the effect of television viewing on the student? So what effect you want to determine? What you want to see? Whether you want to see attention span of the student, whether you want to see their auditory fatigue or some other thing. So it has not been mentioned here. So it is an unfocused research question. Again, you have to define your research question. Sir has told you in the morning. Whenever you are framing a research question, you have to define it. You have to make it very correct. You have to make it very precise. So focused research, how can it be? So you can reframe the question like this. Does the increase in duration of television viewing adversely affect the sleeping pattern of primary school children? Means we want to see, is there any association between duration of television viewing and their sleep pattern, whether the sleep is disturbed due to increased duration of television watching. So this is a precise and focused research question. So this is the again example of good and bad research question. Second is there will be this research question is very broad, too broad research question. What effect does social media have on teenagers? What effect? There will be multiple effects. So we have to again pinpoint which effect you want to study, which effects you want to study. If you want to study many effects, you have to write it down. So I want to 1, 2, 3. These effects I wanted to study from those teenagers who are using social media. Means and use of social media means how many times a day, how much is the duration, or occasionally or daily. That has not been mentioned here. So it is a very broad research question. So again we can define it. So this is an appropriate research question. What effect does daily use of social media on the attention span of teenagers? Means if the teenagers are using social media every day, will it be affecting their attention span? This is your appropriate research question. So this is the example of good and bad research question. So whenever you are going to do a research, you define your research question, try to frame a very good research question with the help of these all the four components. Then coming to the difference between or the summary of the bad and good research question. So what is the bad research question? The focus is vague. We don't have a precise or we don't have a pinpoint focus on it. While good research question is very specific. Variables in bad research question, the variables may not be determined. So we have seen the previous examples. What effects does social media have on teenagers? Which effect you want to study? That's not mentioned. So variable is not mentioned here. So variables are not defined. While in the good research question, the variables are clearly defined. Outcome is not measured here. But good research question will be measuring the outcome. For example, if this prevalence of scabies, measuring prevalence of scabies means we are measuring something, we are counting something or measuring something. Then feasibility, conducting the research with a bad research question is not feasible. While if you are in a good research question, you will be definitely able to do the research. So it is a feasible. Then study design, again, if you are having a bad research question, you will not be able to choose a correct study design, or your study design may not be clear. But if you are having a good research question, you will be definitely able to pick up an appropriate study design. So your study design will be clear if you are having a good research question. So what are the steps in framing a good research question? What should be done? Choose interesting topic. If you want to do research in a particular topic, suppose your field of interest is nutrition. So it's a broad terminology. Nutrition is a broad terminology. So you have to find out in nutrition which aspect you want to study. So choose a broad topic, do some preliminary research or literature search. You have heard in the morning that we have to do a thorough literature search when you want to find out a good research question. Then narrow the topic. Sir has told you funnel approach. So initially it is very broad. Then you have to go for a funnel approach. So you have to narrow down the search, narrow the topic of your research, your interest of research, or that suits your research. Then find appropriate research question and hypothesis. Then check for the PICO element, whether your research question is fit in the PICO element or not. That's population, intervention, comparator, and outcome. These four elements should be there. Then test for goodness of fit, that is finer criteria. Whether your topic is feasible or not, whether it is interesting or not, novel, ethical, and relevant. These finer criteria should also be checked whenever you are framing a good research question. So these are the steps in framing a good research question. Then coming to the hypothesis. So when we are having a research question, then we have to frame a hypothesis. Suppose you are having a question that is you want to study the prevalence of rabies, prevalence of scabies in the school children. So you want to see association between socioeconomic status and prevalence of scabies. Then you have to put a hypothesis. You may say that there is, I think or I predict that there might be a high prevalence of scabies among the children with socioeconomic status. That will be a hypothesis. So what is a hypothesis? It is an assumption or supposition or prediction with the help drawn with the help of a research question. So it is a tentative statement. Means when you are studying scabies, you may say that yes, I think that there is a possibility, or I think there is high prevalence of scabies among children with socioeconomic status. That is your hypothesis. So this hypothesis you have to build. This hypothesis will be acting as a bridge between your research question and your answer. So you should have a hypothesis when you are going for an analytical study design or an experimental study design. So I told in the morning, there is no hypothesis in descriptive study. You are in descriptive study, you are generating the hypothesis. You are creating a hypothesis. And whatever hypothesis has been generated, you have to confirm it, whether it is true or false. So analytical study will be telling you whether this hypothesis you have generated or you have stated is true or false. So if it is a true, it will be accepted. If it is a false, then it will be rejected. So this hypothesis is very specific based on the previous literature or previous research. So there are two types of hypothesis. One is null hypothesis and another is alternative hypothesis. So we'll frame a hypothesis with the help of this research question. Suppose this is your research question: is the prevalence of scabies more among rural primary school children residing in the overcrowded houses than the non-overcrowded houses? This is your research question. Suppose you want to see whether overcrowded houses is having high prevalence or not. So this is your research question. Then you have to frame a hypothesis. So what will be a hypothesis? Anybody can tell me what is hypothesis? What will be a hypothesis? Depending on this research question, what do you want to assume or what do you want to predict? Anybody? Any PG student? No PG student here? Okay, all might be sitting in that hall with their mobiles. Someone told me that all PG students are sitting there with their mobiles only. Okay. So null hypothesis. We can say that there is no difference in the prevalence of scabies in overcrowded and non-overcrowded houses. We will say that there is equal prevalence between both those groups. So no difference between the prevalence of scabies in rural primary school children residing in overcrowded houses and non-overcrowded houses. This is our null hypothesis. So for null hypothesis, for every null hypothesis, there is an alternative hypothesis also. What will be our alternative hypothesis? We can say that there is high prevalence in the overcrowded houses as compared to the non-overcrowded houses. So this is your null. This is your alternative hypothesis. Sorry, this is not H0. It is H1. It is denoted by H1. This is typo mistake. Sorry. Sorry, again typo mistake is there. So there is difference between this. No, should not be there. There is a difference between the prevalence of scabies in the rural primary school children residing in the overcrowded houses than the non-overcrowded houses. We can say that there is some difference in the prevalence of scabies in overcrowded houses as compared to non-overcrowded houses. What we can say? We can say that there will be high prevalence of scabies among overcrowded houses as compared to non-overcrowded houses. So this is your hypothesis. So you have to frame a hypothesis whenever you are going for an analytical or experimental study. Again, I am telling you. So many students come to us. So, sir, I am conducting such type of study. Usually they go for cross-sectional study or a descriptive study. Sorry, descriptive study, and they say, "What is my hypothesis?" Because in while writing the synopsis of PG in MHS, so there is one field is there. What is your hypothesis? So hypothesis is not there when you are conducting the descriptive study. It has to be generated at the end of the study. But when you are conducting an analytical study or experimental study, you should have a hypothesis at the start and you have to confirm it whether it is true or false. So alternative hypothesis and null hypothesis should be there when you are going for an analytical or experimental study. Then coming to the objectives. How to write objectives. What are the objectives? Objectives are the path on which you have to go to reach your destination. If you don't know your path, you may end somewhere else. It is said that if you don't know the road or you don't know the path, you may end somewhere else. So whenever you are after writing a research question or framing a hypothesis, you have to write objectives. So these objectives will be taking you to your destination. So what are the objectives? It tells us what the study wanted to achieve. So, and these are to be derived from your research question. So there are again criteria or some characteristics of the objectives. The characteristics of the objective are SMART, that is SMART. S is specific. Your objective should be specific to your research question. Suppose we will take one question. Suppose you want to conduct a health education session among school children to improve their health, improve their physical health. Suppose. So if you are framing a research, your first objective or primary objective, that's my primary objective is to improve the health of school children. To improve the health of school children is not a specific objective. You have to mention that I want to improve the or increase the physical activity in the student to improve their health. That may be your specific objective. Again, that may not be specific. It should be measurable. M is measurable, means it should be measurable in the terms of some numbers or percentage or scores. So what will be your objective? After this health awareness session, there should be at least 20% increase in the physical activity of the student. Suppose they are going for physical activity 30 minutes every day, there should be 20% increase. Suppose after few months or after 6 months, at least they should go for 35 minutes of physical activity or 40 minutes of physical activity. This is not measurable objective. Next is achievable. So whatever objective you are framing, that should be achievable. Sir has told in the morning. Suppose we will take one more example. Same example. Suppose if you want if your objective is to increase the physical activity in all the children, all the school children of Maharashtra in 6 months, is it possible? It may not be possible. It may not be achievable. It may be achievable, but it will be taking a long time. Being a PG student, you have to do your research within 2 years, not 3 years also. So whenever you are framing an objective, they should be achievable or in feasibility also. Next is relevant. So your objective should be relevant to your research question. Suppose you want to study the health outcome, physical health outcome of the students, or suppose the improvement in the physical activity. If you are framing the objective that I wanted to know what is the preferable color of this medical student. Is it relevant to my research? It's not relevant to my research. So your objective will be relevant to your research question. And next is the time bound. So your research should be your objective should be time bound. So within the time you decided, it should be reached or it should be fulfilled. Suppose you want to achieve 20% increase in the physical activity in 6 months, it's okay. So it can be done. So it may be time bound. But if you want to, you will not be putting a time frame. So your objective may not be achieved. So these are the criteria of writing an objective: SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Then how to write the objective? Usually this objective should start with the verb like to determine, to estimate, to assess, or to identify. Usually avoid the vague words like to study, to know, to understand. So again we see these types of words used in the writing the objective. These are known as vague words. So you should not use such words like to study, to know, to understand. To determine, to estimate, to assess, to identify the correct word for writing an objective. They should be again clear and concise based on the previous 5 criteria, SMART criteria. These again objectives are of 2 types divided into 2. One is general objectives or primary objectives and specific or secondary objectives. Again, we will take the same topic that we have seen in the previous research question, that is study. Or suppose you want to go for a study. Again, this is not a topic. This is not a title. Sorry, this is not a title. It's a topic. Suppose study. You want to go for a study on prevalence of scabies in the primary school children. So your primary objective should be to estimate the prevalence of scabies among primary school children in the rural area. This is your primary objective because it is specific and measurable. What you are measuring, you want to measure the prevalence. It is achievable as well. You can study a small sample and you can determine what is the prevalence of scabies among the school children in a rural area. So this is the primary objective. So there can be multiple objectives also. So you can write those my objectives as secondary objectives. What may be my secondary objective in this study design on this topic? To identify the socio-demographic factor associated with scabies amongst primary school children. Which are the socio-demographic factors that are associated with the scabies? That may be acting as a risk factor for scabies. Secondly, to assess the association between household overcrowding and scabies infestation. You have seen this while framing the research question. What is the association between overcrowding and prevalence of scabies? I wanted to see, is overcrowding a risk factor for transmission of rabies? That will be my second objective or secondary objective. Next is to evaluate personal hygiene practices and their association with scabies. Is poor hygiene associated with occurrence of scabies or associated with the transmission of scabies? So in this way you can, this is just an example. Depending on your research study, your research question, your topic, you have to frame the objectives. So always frame a primary objective and secondary objectives also. And these objectives again will be helping to calculate a sample size. So as told in the morning that your sample size depends on your objective. So sample size based on all these objectives should be calculated. Whichever is highest should be taken. Okay. Then coming to the one of the most important part is how to write a title. So what is the title? Title is called as the first phase or gateway to the research, and is the most read part. What it tells us study design, population, variables, and methodology. In short, means it tells us which study design you are conducting, whether it's a cross-sectional study, experimental study, or analytical study. In which group or in which population group you are going to conduct this study. What are your variables of the study? What characteristics you are going to study? It will again tell, indirectly will tell us what method you are going to follow. So if someone reads the title, that individual or that reader or that investigator will decide whether it is useful for me or not. Is it useful for my research, or is it relevant to my research or not? If someone want to go for literature search, suppose I am conducting XYZ study, I want to search for references. So by reading only, I will see whether that reference is related with my study or not. You want to everybody read the newspaper. So we are not reading each and every line of the newspaper. What we are doing, we are reading the heading first. If it is interesting for me, or is relevant to me, I will be reading the whole news. I will be skipping it. The same thing happens in case of research also. So your title should be very good. So it will tell the reader whether it is relevant to him or not. Okay. And what happens if the title is poor? The poor title is difficult to find in the literature search. Sometimes it may be ignored. If it is confusing, nobody will read it. It reduces the impact on the reader as well. If it is a good title, it will be discovered easily and cited more often. Cited more often means citation. So that reference might be used in someone else's research paper. That will be increasing your H index. As told in the morning. First, you have to increase the H index or I index, or not in the morning. Yesterday we were discussing that H index of the institute should be increased. So that will increase your credibility. So you should have a good title always. I will skip this slide. So then categories of the title or different types of the title. There are three broad categories of the title. One is declarative title, descriptive title, and interrogative title. So what is the declarative title? So what it tells us the main findings or conclusion in the title. So whatever conclusions are there in the study, that may be reflected in the title. And if such type of title is there, there is no curiosity left. Already results are declared in the title. Nobody will read it. So whenever you are framing the title, there should be some suspense in the title. Some things should be hidden. So frame the title in such a way that the reader or the individual should read the total paper to know what is there in this research article. So no curiosity is left if the title is declarative. So we'll take an example of declarative title. So this is an example. BMI is a better indicator of cardiac risk factors as against elevated blood pressure in apparently healthy female adolescents and young adult students. Results from a cross-sectional study in Tripura. So So this title will be telling us that BMI is a good indicator for cardiac risk factors. So they have told the conclusion, or they have told their results in the title only. So no curiosity is left. This is a type of declarative title. Then coming to the next title, that is descriptive title. It describes the article theme. So whole theme is described in this title. There are no findings in the title, no conclusions are there. It includes all aspects of the research question, that is PICO format. So PICO is reflected in this type of descriptive title. There are certain advantages and disadvantages also. So if descriptive title is there, that title may be a somewhat long title. And the advantage is that, but it tells you the complete information. So this is an example of descriptive title. Sorry, what is the example? Effect of directly observed oral iron supplementation during pregnancy on iron status in a rural population in Haryana, a randomized controlled trial. We don't know what is the effect of this oral iron therapy, directly observed oral iron therapy. So they have conducted a study. The results we don't know. If you want to know the results, you have to read at least the abstract or the whole article. So this is the descriptive title. Next comes the interrogative title. So what is interrogative? It restates the research question. Whatever research question is there, that is reframed here in part or full. So usually this interrogative title is containing a question mark. If question mark is there, you can directly say that this is the interrogative title. This is an example of interrogative title. Where and how breastfeeding promotion initiative should focus its attention. A study from rural Burma. Question mark is there. So this is known as an interrogative title. So we have seen three types of title. Can anybody tell which title is better? Whether it's a descriptive, declarative, or interrogative? Interrogative. Interrogative. Huh? Descriptive. Okay. So we'll see this example. Same title is there, but reframed. Descriptive sleeping habits of medical students during lectures. This is a descriptive title. Interrogative title. Do medical students sleep more in subject tests? You consider your any subject in lecture. I don't want to blame any department. Otherwise, I will be fired. Declarative title. Medical students sleep more in dash lectures or this subject lectures. Which one is better? Which one do you feel?
You should ask teacher. Huh? You should ask teacher.
Okay. Somebody said interrogative, somebody said descriptive. But it is said that descriptive titles are more preferred. These are better than the other two titles because it tells what a study design and not the results. Because there is some suspense. Results are not there. In declarative title, results are already there. So usually you should form a descriptive title, not declarative title. You might have suspense about the study results. Okay. Usually descriptive titles are preferred, and if you see, most of the titles are descriptive titles. So we have conducted one study. Dr. Vijay Donklesar and I have conducted one study. Assessment of titles in two journals of community medicine. So, again, in the same in that article, we found that most of the titles are descriptive, and these are the preferred title. And again, many researchers say that the title should be descriptive usually. Okay, the same example that we have seen, BMI is a better indicator, that is a declarative title. So we can reframe it. How it can be converted into another type of title? So this is descriptive title. The same topic is there, but it has been converted. How it is converted? BMI and blood pressure as indicators of cardiac risk factor among apparently healthy female adolescents and young adult students in Tripura cross-section study. In his second title, there is no conclusion or no results are there. In the first title is a better indicator. BMI is a better indicator. They have already mentioned it. And conclusions are there. No suspense has been left. So usually descriptive titles are preferred. So go for the descriptive title. Then what are the characteristics of a good title or attributes of the good title? It informs the reader accurately about the contents of the article. Is what is described in the article that can be told by this title. It is simple, direct, clear, brief, and attractive. We want an attractive title, but we don't want a sensational title. न्यूजपेपर सारखा सेन्सेशनल नाही पाहिजे किंवा हिंदी न्यूज सारखा किंवा आपल्या कुठल्या न्यूज चॅनल सारखा सेन्सेशनल टायटल नाही. इट शुड बी अट्रॅक्टिव्ह. Exclude redundant and unnecessary words. Unnecessary words should be avoided whenever you are framing a title. It should not contain abbreviation or jargon. Or jargon means confusing words. Abbreviation. So short forms should be used if they are universal short forms. You should not frame your own short forms. If universal short forms are there, then it can be used. Does not contain numerical values of the parameters. Means numbers should not be there usually. It includes keywords used for indexing. So the title should include the keywords so that it can be searched. That title or that article can be searched with these keywords. So here there are two examples with numerical values. One is use of prebiotics in children with diarrhea associated with reduction of 11.3 plus minus 2.1 hours in the duration of diarrhea. Second is cost of ambulatory care by mobile health clinic run by a medical college in India for the year 2008-9. It is said that the first title is containing the mean episodes of diarrhea. The mean duration of the diarrhea is 11.3 plus minus 2.1 hours. Such type of titles should be avoided. So such numerical values should not be there. But second title is containing the year. Is duration. They have conducted the study or they have taken the data for the year 2008-9. That can be accepted. So you can mention the duration, but there is this 11.3 plus minus 2 is again a numerical value or is a mean value or is a result. Such mean values or such results should not be included in the title. Second is okay. First should be preferably avoided. Okay. Then checklist to finalize the title. What should we do? Check the instruction to the authors provided by the journal. So there are certain instructions provided in the author's instructions. So how the title should be framed. Again, some journal gives how many words should be there. It is usually 16 to 20 words should be there in a title. Some journals give guidelines, some journals don't give it. Don't give the guidelines. So use the guidelines first. Then does the title indicate the main theme of the research paper? Whatever research you have done, does your title is reflecting that one? Is it clear and specific? Is it too long or too short? Again, too long and too short title should be avoided. Diabetes and pregnancy. This is one of the title. It's very short. So it is not. It is again unclear and unfocused, or it is very short. So such title should be avoided. It should not be very long and very short. Keep it concise. Then it should contain the relevant keywords. Main words should be there. So again, if you see in abstract, the last line is the keywords. All the keywords should be included in the title. If many technical words are there, simplify the title. So too technical words will be making the title very difficult. So try to simplify the title. Standard abbreviation. I have to use universal or standard abbreviation should be like WHO, World Health Organization. Such abbreviation can be used. Results in the titles will be killing the curiosity. That the title should not be declared indirectly. They are saying that should not be declarative. Numbers, if the numbers are necessary, include it. Just like we have seen, duration 2008-9. So it is okay. Otherwise, 11.3 plus minus 2 should be avoided. Okay. Then some more tips. It is said that some researcher says that this is to be last section should be written. So there might be debate on it. If the title should be written last, then how to submit the synopsis, how to go for the ethical committee. But there is again a solution. You should have a working title for your focus. You should have some title, but final title should be written at the end. It is recommended. Again, it is debatable. Take the help of co-authors, colleagues, and friends. Sir has told in the morning that whenever you want to get the feedback, show your colleagues, show your friends, show in the department, your teachers, mentors. They will be definitely helping you. And this is that writing a title is one of the difficult tasks or is a time-consuming task. We have heard from Mumbre sir and his PG teacher, Dr. Kattargi sir. They used to spend many days in writing a title. I have heard it. I don't know. He might be sharing. He can tell us whether. So they wanted very perfect title. So they were reading many times. They were reshuffling the words, and then they will be finalizing the title. So that is the importance of title. Then again, there are certain criteria for writing a title. There are spiced criteria. So spiced criteria are used when you are conducting an experimental study or a randomized control trial. What is spice? S is setting in the place where you are conducting the study. P population in which group you are conducting it. I is intervention as in experimental study. C is condition, is endpoint, and D is design. Usually these criteria are for experimental study. For other studies or descriptive studies, SPD criteria are there. Only three are S, P, and D are there. Okay. So we'll see one example of spice criteria. Example of spice criteria. One is therapeutic effect of vitamin D supplementation in children with severe asthma. A community-based randomized control trial in West India. So we'll see how this spice criteria is fulfilled here. S is setting. Where it is conducted in West India. That is the place. P is population. In which population? Children. Is conducted in the children. I is intervention. What intervention is done? If they wanted to see effect of vitamin D. C is condition. Which condition? Children with asthma or with severe asthma. This is the condition. E is endpoint. What they wanted to see? They wanted to see what is the therapeutic effect of it. And D is the design. The title should include the design also. That is randomized control trial. These are the spiced criteria. Next is the SPD criteria for other study design. So nutrition status of midday meal program. Beneficiaries, a cross-sectional study among primary school children in Kottayam district of Kerala, India. Here setting is Kottayam district of Kerala, India. Population is primary school children, and D is the design of this, that is cross-sectional study. One more example of SPD. Can anybody tell what is S, P, and D here? Any PG student, UG student? What is S here? You can tell in groups also. That is Belgaum district. This is setting, the place where it is conducted. P is population, it is conducted in infants. D is the type of study, that is longitudinal study. Okay, these are the criteria of writing a title. Then we are at the end of this lecture. Just we will see a few questions. As we have named it as a workshop, you should have to answer few questions. So exercise on type of title. Read this title and tell me what type of title it is. KB significantly impairs the school attendance among primary school children. A cross-sectional study from rural area of Hingoli district. What type of title it is? Descriptive. Declarative. Why declarative? It is telling that KB is significantly impairing the school attendance. If the attendance is poor in the children with rabies, they have declared it. So it is a declarative type of title. Okay. Next one. Measuring patient satisfaction, a case study to improve quality of care at public health facilities. No question mark, so not interrogative. They have not declared any result. It's not declarative. What is remaining? It is descriptive. So it is a descriptive title. One more. Are body image issues affecting our adolescents? A cross-sectional study among college-going at school adolescent girls. Interrogative, definitely. It's a question mark is also interrogative title. Next, prevalence of chikungunya in urban field practice area of a private medical college, Chennai. Descriptive. Very good. Next, increased prevalence of pulmonary tuberculosis in male adults of Sahara tribe of India, a revised survey. Previously also prevalence was there. Now here also prevalence is why the difference is there? The word increased prevalence. They have declared that is increased prevalence. They have declared it. So it's a declarative title. Next, each scabies infestation associated with poor personal hygiene and low socioeconomic status among school children from rural communities across sectional study. What type of title it is? Interrogative. So question mark is there? Interrogative. So we have seen that this research question, title, objectives, and hypotheses are the four main pillars of your research. So that will guide you to the perfect research, or that will help you to reach your successful research. These research questions will be identifying the knowledge gap or clinical problems. Title will be setting the stage for your study. It will be helping you to set the stage. Objectives will be showing the detailed path. So it will be helping you to reach the destination, and hypothesis will be predicting the destination. So why these four pillars are important. Due to this, that this, if you will be having these four things with you, will be definitely successful in conducting a very good research. Thank you very much.
Right. I request Dr. Sudha Karatnikar to felicitate our esteemed guest observer from MUHS, Dr. Shubhangi Thirde Madam. Madam is at present working as Associate Professor in Medical Department of Vaishampayan Memorial Government Medical Hospital at Solapur. Madam has more than 20 articles and 10 case reports in various national and international journals. Give a big round of applause. Now I request our chairperson to take questions from the delegates. Dr. Sachin Gupta sir and Dr. Shiv Shankar Vogel.
My question regarding the title. Every time while criticizing a title, is it necessary to have a study design in the title? My first question is study design. So
We said that definitely there should be study design in the title. So that will be telling you what type of study design you are going to take. So if there is no study design, but see, even though these SPICE or SPD criteria are there, it is preferably you should follow these criteria. Otherwise, if it is not possible, but usually it is possible to write a study design. So better to write a study design. See, whenever suppose we are preparing a recipe, if you are having n number of spices with you, we are not putting all the spices in the recipe. We are putting the spices that are necessary only. So if it is necessary, if you feel it necessary, put that. Otherwise, you can leave it, no problem. So it's better to put it.
the word always comes that your title should be catchy. Your title should be catchy. So how to handle this word? Because one of the examiners standing, he can decide that your title it is very long. One of the examiners say that your title should be very short. So how to handle this word?
I have told you that there should be. It is said that the title it should include at least 16 to 20 words. If your title is very long, so you can discuss with your departmental colleagues, your friends. You can try to concise it or try to make it short. And follow this PICO criteria. That is PICO. If it is an experimental study or analytical study, you can go for PICO criteria. So putting this PICO criteria will be definitely following the good and attractive title.
So my last question. How one researcher should not make a mistake while with a primary objective and secondary objective. Most common mistake that are done, how to avoid that?
See, it depends on your research question. So your research question is usually your primary objective. So apart from that, if you want to go for, so for example, you see this prevalence of scabies in the school children. So your primary objective is to determine the prevalence. And in the topic, one more, in that title or topic, one more word was there to study the risk factor as well. So you can mention whatever risk factor you want to study as the second risk factor. So you have to determine what is your primary objective. Usually your first research question is your primary objective.
So no, it is not necessary to take each and every time a secondary objective.
Each and every time
Is it necessary to take each secondary objective?
in the title.
One should take secondary objective or not?
Yes, it is necessary. That will be, so if you will be having objectives, you will be able to finish your research. So you will be successfully able to finish your research.
So the primary hypothesis and secondary objective. The mistake while aligning all this now, there occur one mistake. Each and every time not, but sometimes there occur the mistake. So one should be very cautious while using the primary objective and should not be mistaken with the secondary objective.
Yes.
Now I request Dr. Sachin Gupti sir and Dr. Shashankar Hoge sir to felicitate Dr. Satish Vande sir. Now I request Dr. Rahul Pasode sir to felicitate Dr. Sachin Gupti sir. Now I request Dr. Deepak Sadhu sir to felicitate Dr. Shashankar Hoge sir. Thank you, Dr. Satish Vande sir. Sir has beautifully reminded us that research work does not begin with data fetch. It begins with clarity of thought. A well-crafted title is not merely a heading. It is the identity of the research. Clear objectives are not just formalities, they are the compass guiding the entire study. And a precise hypothesis is not a ritual statement, it is the intellectual backbone that gives direction and purpose. Now I hand over the mic for the next session.
You don't learn from succeeding, you learn from failing, said George Clooney. We'll move to next session, that is workshop 2 by Dr. Sachin Mumbre sir again. I request Dr. Sachin Mumbre sir to guide us on how to prepare a research protocol, that is synopsis basics. Please. Sir. Thank you, sir. I would like to invite Dr. Deepak Sadhu sir and Dr. Manisha Bolke ma'am to chair the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Satish Mumbre sir, as we know, at present is professor and head of the Department of Community Medicine at Ashwini Rural Medical College Hospital and Research Center, Solapur. Sir has more than 30 years of teaching experience. Sir is former Dean of Faculty MUHS Nashik. Sir is former elected member of Maharashtra Medical Council Mumbai. Sir is the Academic Council member of MUHS Nashik. Sir is member of Board of Studies of MUHS Nashik. He is a member of School Council of Yashwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University Nashik. He is a member of Advisory Board of College of Physicians and Surgeons, Mumbai, that is EPS. Sir is member of Academic Council, DY Patil, DUT. Sir is member of, he is faculty at Bharati Vidyapith University. He has experience of more than 30 years of teaching experience. He has published more than 30 national and international research papers. Sir has been rewarded with certificate of appreciation by WHO in recognition of dedicated service and significant contribution to clinical research. Last but not the least, he has already bagged BK Mahajan Award for Best Paper, that is national level, published in India when we were studying in the college, that is Washington Medical College. The BK Mahajan book was most curious book for us. So we'll start with the session. Mic is handed to sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Respected chairpersons, with your kind permission, we'll start the session. Okay. I think it's post-lunch session very difficult for me. But what day sir has taken care of, I think nobody was able to sleep. I tried to match his. Okay. Now in this session we'll see what is a research protocol. What are the objectives of research protocol? Why research protocol is must? Why it is must and where it is used? And what are the key components of research protocol? So we just see all these things. Now, what is a research protocol? Research protocol is something which is a formally written document which describes the plan of action of your research. It is prepared before research starts and it is just a blueprint what you will be doing during your research. So this is the research protocol and it communicates the researcher's plan to the audience, to the funding agencies, to all other stakeholders. Why it is planned? It is why the research is planned is also mentioned in the protocol. What are the reasons this research is planned? Where it is planned means the research settings, when it will be conducted, what will be the timeline, who will be the participant, how many of them will be there with the sample size, how it will be conducted, what are the outcomes, means in a nutshell, everything that you are going to do in the future is written in research protocol. And the research protocol as it is prepared before research starts, it must be in future tense. I have seen so many research protocols written in past tense. So please, as it is prepared before research starts, please make it sure that you are going to do whatever you are going to do, you have to write that and it should be in the future tense. Now we have seen all these aspects: research question, aims, objective, title, hypothesis, etc., etc. So the research protocol contains everything of this. Means it contains title, research question, aim and objectives, if applicable, hypothesis. It compiles existing knowledge. It means whatever you have done for literature review, you will have to concise it and put it in research protocol, which will help you to communicate two things. What is the available knowledge as on today, and what are the gaps in the existing knowledge, and that is the reason I am conducting this research. So this it communicates I welcome Dean Faculty MHS Dr. Vittal Berke sir. Sir, welcome. It identifies the need of the research. It also describes the methodology and describes expected outcomes. So, in a nutshell, in introduction, I will tell you the research protocol is a blueprint for your research. It guides the action at every stage of research. And most importantly, the research protocol is required for obtaining ethics committee, institutional ethics committee approval. It is required to apply for funding agencies, may be MUHS, may be ICMR or any other funding agency. Your research protocol must be ready for application to these funding agencies. And if you are conducting a clinical trial, your protocol must be ready to register in CTR. What is CTR? Clinical Trial Registry of India. So, if you are conducting any trial, it is mandatory that you will have to register your trial before inclusion of first participant in your trial to CTR registry. It is online registration, it's simple, but it is a legal requirement. You have to register with CTR registry. So these are the reasons why the research protocol is necessary. Now I'll go back to the cycle which I have explained. Now you have idea. Research question is generated from idea. Sir has already explained how to generate research question from your idea. Then literature review. You have selected design. Sir has also explained. Sir has explained in detail how to select correct design. And now everything is ready to write the protocol. Now this is the stage where we should write our protocol. How to prepare now? I will just describe how to prepare a research protocol. It's a teamwork. It's not something that you can do it alone. But why it's a teamwork? Because it requires the efforts of PI, all 4 PIs and statisticians. Because it's very difficult for you to identify few of the aspects. Not impossible, but really difficult to write all the aspects such as sample size, etc., etc., etc. So it's a teamwork, and I have already explained how to use this research protocol, what exactly it does. So it's a teamwork. I will see what are the contents of a protocol. But this is the actual thing that you must know. A research protocol must contain at least these things, plus few things as needed by your funding agencies. If funding agency is different, that funding agency will ask some extra information depending on that funding agency. ICMR will ask what are the exact outcome expected. MHS will ask something else. So, depending on the funding agency, few things will be needed, but these are the common things which must be there in your research protocol. So, first is title. So, how the title should be? Which type of title? Descriptive. Can you write any other type of title during protocol? Declarative title. Is it possible at the time of making protocol? Why it is not possible? Results are not ready. Because protocol is prepared before the search query starts. So it is not possible to prepare it in the form of declarative. Okay. So we'll have to prepare it in descriptive type of title. Investigator details. So PI and co-PI or first author and second author, third author and subsequent authors. The details must be there in the protocol. Introduction. Research question. Aims and objective. Hypothesis. Review of literature. Methodology. I think all these terms you are well acquainted with. Now, what should be there in under each of these headings in brief I will describe. Title. As Sir has already described, title should be concise and self-explanatory. Concise means how many words? Around maximum 20. Okay. Self-explanatory. Self-explanatory means what? What do you mean by self-explanatory title? It should explain what are you doing, or what means doing protocol. What are you doing and what are the expected outcomes of the study? Should explain population and key variables. Should explain the primary objective and preferably include the study design. So you ask this question whether it is necessary or not. Yes, the study design type must be there for SRMA, systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Consort guidelines also mandates us to give the RCT as the study design included in the title. For other type of study designs, it is preferable to include study design. Okay. Now, there are two titles here I have given. Effect of iron supplementation on hemoglobin levels among pregnant women, a double-blind randomized controlled trial. Now, it contains what? Whether it contains type of study. Which type of study is that? It's a experimental or double-blind RCT. It is there. Whether it contains all four PICO criteria: population, intervention, comparator, and outcome. Whether all these four criteria are there. What is the intervention here? Iron supplementation. What is the comparator? It is implied. What is implied comparator? Before and after. So it is there. And outcome is what? Hemoglobin levels. So hemoglobin levels before iron supplementation versus hemoglobin level after iron supplementation. What is the effect of that iron supplementation among pregnant women? So this title is it's a good title. I have given this example again in the morning session. Effect of lecture timing, morning versus afternoon. You can have something in bracket, no problem with that. For that reason, I have included this. On short-term knowledge retention among undergraduate students, a randomized controlled study. Is it a good title? Any problem in this? It will communicate all the things, required things, type of study, variables, everything. Am I going fast? Okay. Now, introduction. After title, the next part comes what? Author details. I'm skipping that because it's very easy. Now, next is introduction. Now, what should be there in the introduction of the research protocol? It should explain background of the problem. It should explain dependent and independent variables. Now, what do you mean by independent and dependent variables? What is the meaning of this term? Because of one variable, other thing is affected. So, because of giving iron supplementation, hemoglobin level will be affected. Because of study, your marks will be increased. Because of my lecture, your sleep pattern will change. So because of something, other thing. So there is one variable and other variable which is affected. So first variable is independent variable, next variable is dependent variable. This is very in simple way. So you just remember ID. First is independent variable, next one is dependent variable. So iron supplementation and hemoglobin, which is independent variable here. First is what? Iron supplementation. And which is next is what? Hemoglobin. My lecture and sleep, which is independent variable, give the lecture. And increase sleep or sleep pattern, dependent variable. So you should have all these variables in the introduction. So you should explain in this study, this is the independent variable and this is the dependent variable. You should explain this. Should describe rationale of the study in the context of existing knowledge. So whatever knowledge is available as on today related to dependent and independent variable, we have to concise it in the introduction and should explain why the study is undertaken. So once you have there described the present knowledge, then you can write that. But however, there is gap in the knowledge That's why this study is undertaken to bridge that gap in knowledge. So, for example, I will give the same example. So, this can be there in the introduction. Learning efficiency and attentiveness may vary depending on circadian rhythms. What I am describing? I am describing what? The dependent variable and independent variables. Now, lecture timings and short-term retention. Which is the independent variable and which is the dependent variable? Lecture timing is independent variable and it affects next what? Short-term retention by students. So it is dependent variable. I am describing both these variables. Okay. Morning sessions are traditionally considered optimal for cognitive performance, especially for didactic lectures or sessions with one-way communication. So just understand what I am doing here. What I have done here, I have described both the variables. I have given the background information of both the variables, and then I have in next sentence I have explained what is the gap in the existing knowledge in the form of like this. There is limited empirical evidence comparing short-term knowledge retention between morning and afternoon lecture sessions in undergraduate students. Understanding this relationship may help optimize academic scheduling and improve learning outcome. Now you tell me in the introduction what I have included. Number one, I have included the number one background information. Number two, some details. You can expand this. These are only 2-3 sentences. You can have 10-20 sentences. No problem. You can have one page introduction. No problem. By expanding and giving the details of each variable. So in introduction, you should describe the variables you are studying, dependent, independent, and whatever you are studying, and then you should identify the gap in the knowledge, linking these two variables, and then you should write, because there is a gap, I am conducting this study with the objective of dash, 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 and last sentence, what will be the further gain? What will be the benefit in the form of learning? Understanding this relationship may help optimize academic scheduling. So once we have identified whether if the morning sessions are better for retention, then we can change the schedule and we can keep the clinics in the afternoon sessions and lectures in the morning sessions. So these are the headings or these are the subtitles under which you should write introduction. Okay, understood? So what should be there in the introduction? Number one, description of all the variables, then gap in the existing knowledge, then why you are doing this study, because identify the and what will be the outcome. So this is about introduction. Now research question. Primary research question should explain the purpose of the study. Sir has already described in details. I will go fast here. Should follow final framework. Should be in PICO or PECO or any other relevant format depending on your study design. PICO is relevant for experimental design, sir has explained. So we'll skip this. Now, this is the research question. Does the timing of lecture, morning versus evening, influence short-term knowledge retention among undergraduate students? And once you have framed this research question, you will test it on which criteria? Which criteria? Final. FINER, final criteria. F is for what? Feasibility. Okay, that you know. I'll skip that also. No problem. And once the research question is finalized, it is very easy to frame the aims and objectives. It is very easy. So, aim should explain the purpose of the study. Primary objective should align itself with the aim. There can be secondary objectives which will be explored separately or which will help in achieving the aim. It is not necessary or mandatory that you should have primary as well as secondary objectives. If your research question is so focused, it is very specific, it is addressing only one aspect, you will have only one primary objective. Efficacy of drug. in the treatment of dash dash dash. This is the primary objective. If you are limiting yourself to this, this is the primary objective. You can have secondary objective if you think, like to study the side effects. This is secondary objective. So it is not necessary that you should have both primary as well as secondary objectives. Okay. So here again I will explain this with the help of example. Aim to compare the effect of lecture timing morning versus afternoon on short-term retention among undergraduate medical students. You understood this? All the students? This is the aim. Any problem in understanding this? Now the primary objective is to determine whether morning lectures lead to higher short-term retention scores than afternoon lectures among undergraduate medical students. It is clear? Yes, yes or no? Okay. Now I have framed secondary objective also. It is not mandatory, but I have framed this, the secondary objective like this, to evaluate students' self-reported alertness and engagement. This can also be objective tested in, it can be tested in the same research study. Self-reported alertness and engagement during morning versus afternoon lectures. So your research protocol must contain what? Your research protocol must contain aims and objective, and objectives also primary objective and if applicable secondary objectives. Now hypothesis. Sir has already explained hypothesis. So you should have hypothesis in your research protocol. I will explain first research hypothesis, which is also called as alternate hypothesis, which is also called as HA. So what is alternate hypothesis or research hypothesis or HA? HA stands for hypothesis alternate. A subscribed. Okay. So what you are expecting from the study? This is alternate hypothesis. So you are expecting what? The short-term retention score is more for morning lectures. So this is your alternate hypothesis, and null hypothesis is opposite of what you are expecting. It is null. There is no difference in the short-term retention score for lectures which are scheduled in afternoon and morning as well as in afternoon session. Okay. So null hypothesis is in the term of negative value. So this is the alternative hypothesis and this is the null hypothesis. So your research protocol must contain these things. Title, introduction, what are the contents of introduction? I already explained. Research question, aims, objectives, and hypothesis if applicable. For descriptive studies, if you are finding out prevalence of smoking in second year students, how many of the students are smokers? There is no hypothesis. You cannot have hypothesis that 100% students are smokers or 10% students are smokers. This is descriptive study. There is no hypothesis. So if applicable, if the study is analytical or experimental, then you will be able to write the hypothesis. And this is the most important part of your protocol. So I will take it slowly. The most important part, methodology. Methodology must have description of the study design. Which study design you are using, whether it is descriptive, cross-sectional, analytical, experimental. If experimental, whether it is randomized controlled trial, non-randomized trial. I will not go in detail of the designs, but they will go parallel with above your head. Okay, just remember. So whether it is crossover design or balanced design, forget about that. Just remember here you have to mention in the methodology what type of the design is this. Okay. So study design, in previous example, what type of study design was that? We have divided students into two groups. One group is given morning lecture sessions, other group is given post lunch lectures. So what type of study design is that? There are two groups who are doing interventions. Whether it is experimental design or descriptive, it is experimental because we are conducting experiment. We are dividing the students into two groups. So it is a randomized controlled trial if the students are randomized into two groups. Is it clear? So just what I want to convey is that you must mention the study design for your research. Now study setting should explain the institute or institutes wherein the study will be conducted, So the study setting, the study will be conducted in Government Medical College, Hingoli. So in methodology, first thing that must be there is study design, then study settings, study population means which participants will be included. You should specify the inclusion and exclusion criteria. It means if you are including patients as participants, what type of patients, what disease, how they will be diagnosed, you will have to mention in the inclusion and exclusion criteria. And for this example, what will be the inclusion criteria? What will be the inclusion criteria? Second year MBBS students of GNC Hingoli will be included, and those who are willing to provide informed consent, they will be included in the study. And exclusion criteria can be this: students with diagnosed sleep disorders. They are not, they will not help us in our study because anyway they will show the reduced retention score whether the lecture is planned morning or in the evening. Am I going fast? Now methodology. So study setting, study design, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, and then sample size. I will advise you to take help of the statistician to calculate the sample size. Sample size depends on your study type and other n number of factors. I am not going into the details of those factors because a separate session will be there to calculate sample size. But here I want to convey that the protocol must contain the sample size, how it is calculated, which formula is used, and while calculating sample size, what alpha, what beta, what effect size is taken into consideration. What is this alpha, what is this beta, what is the effect? We will be doing this in the subsequent sessions. So, a sampling technique, whether all the students were included or whether few randomly selected students were included, how randomization was done, you will have to mention this in your protocol. In the protocol, not only the sampling technique, if it is experimental study, you have to write whether it will be a double blind study or single blind study, then allocation concealment. I think you are taking that allocation sequence concealment. Okay, so just I'm mentioning all the details of the methodology that will be followed is to be there in the protocol. And finally, intervention. In detail, as it is interventional study, in detail, we will have to include or you have to write the details of the intervention that you are doing. So here, the intervention will be what? There will be two groups. Group 1 will receive timetable in which didactic lectures will be scheduled for morning time from 9 to 10 a.m. For Group 2, the same will be scheduled for afternoon time from 2 to 3 p.m. This is intervention. We agree with this? Then, both the sessions will be conducted by same faculty. By? Okay. Such sessions will be conducted for 14 days. For each session, pre-test and post-test MCQs will be conducted. For each session, average change in score will be calculated. What is the pre-lecture score and what is the post-lecture score for each session? That will tell us what? The improvement in score or short-term retention. Okay. Similarly, for each session, students' self-reported alertness level will be recorded on Likert scale. What is Likert scale? It is from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Means 1 is alertness scale was very low. Low, average, alertness was high or very high. This is Likert scale. Okay, or it is ordinal scale. So you can take the students' feedback. What was your level of alertness for each of the session. This was my secondary objective. That's why I'm collecting data for this also. And data analysis. How the data will be analyzed. Now, how here the data will be analyzed? Now you are having scores for two groups improvement and you will compare that. So you will have to write in detail how the data will be analyzed, which software will be used, which statistical test will be used, and if possible, you can also have the variables. If possible, that will help you in analyzing and giving your results in future. So I will not read in detail about this methodology. And references. So these are the mandatory things that must be there in your protocol. References, they can have many styles. American style, Vancouver style. What is Vancouver style? In Vancouver style of referencing, the reference number is given at the top, like here. Here. Can you see this? Can you see the pointer here? This one. Okay. So, number one. So, as the any sentence you want to refer the relevant journal, in sequence you will have to do the reference. So, your reference should start from 1, 2, 3, 4 and onwards. This is not alphabetical. Alphabetical type of reference system means as per the alphabetical order from author names, you will write the references at the end. But for that, it is very difficult to link which reference is used for which sentence. Here you can link. So first sentence is linked to reference number 1. So at the end, you can have the list of references. Okay. So this is Vancouver style, serially numbered starting from 1 onwards as the text appear in the protocol. So this is the Vancouver style of reference. So these are the things must be there. This is reference number 1 and reference number 2, which you can link to the respective sentences. And this is the Gantt chart. This is the timeline. You should provide the timeline in your protocol. Looking at this Gantt chart, what are the contents of this Gantt chart? Can anybody tell me? What are the contents? What I have done? Yes. What are the contents? First of all, tell me which type of chart is this? This chart is called as what? Not exactly bar chart. It is a Gantt chart, which describes the timeline. Okay. Now, you can see here. Okay. Now, I have divided all the aspects of research into subheadings. From protocol preparation, IEC approval, participant recruitment, up to manuscript writing. So, end stage of my research will be what? Manuscript writing. Okay. So, I have divided all the aspects of research into various subheadings, and I have identified how much period and when that task will be completed. Okay. So, first is what? Protocol preparation. So for first 2 weeks, from the start, first 2 weeks will be devoted to what? Protocol preparation. Then once the protocol is prepared, I will send this protocol for IEC approval, and I expect that it will take around 4 weeks. At the same time, I can add one more thing, funding application to the funding agency. So I can add one more point here, and I can give 4 weeks or 8 weeks for getting the results of the fund. Then participant recruitment, I am expecting 2 weeks of that. And faculty training. So participant recruitment and faculty training, these two components are going in parallel. They are going for the same week. So week number 7 and 8. This is Gantt chart. So you will have to submit the timeline or Gantt chart for the research proposal. Have understood this, all the students? Now, apart from this, other information is also needed for institutional ethics committee approval. And which is this other information is the questionnaire, case record form, survey forms, is in appendix. In methodology, you must have written the data will be collected, everything you have written, but using which proform, which questionnaire, what are the case record forms relevant to your study. So you have to attach that. CV of all investigators. Why it is important? CV of all investigators to see the competence of the investigator. So funding agencies will look at the CV of the principal investigator and co-investigator to determine whether the applicant is capable of conducting this research or not. That's why CV of the investigator is needed. Written informed consent form in English as well as in local language. Now you must be knowing what is informed consent form. The format is available. You have to judge as per the need of, as per your project and declarations. In this study, participation will be voluntary. For my research related to the students' activity, I will have to declare no academic penalty for non-participation. So I will have to declare this. Confidentiality is to be maintained. That confidentiality statement is to be given. Funding sought from different, if any, from any other agency sought the funding. You have to mention that also. So these are the things that are needed for IEC approval. Now, funding agencies also, they will ask for CV of all investigators and most importantly, budget requirements and expected outcome. Budget requirements means what? How much budget you are expecting to expend. How much budget will you require to conduct your research, and you will have to give it in the specified format applicable for that funding agency. Usually the headings are manpower expenditure, expenditure for OPI or research associate, expenditure for statistician, expenditure for data entry operator. These expenditures are related to what? Manpower. The other headings can be recurring expenses like chemicals, investigations, drug, etc. So these are the broad headings under which you will have to give the budget requirement. Another heading can be travel expenditure, PO expenditure. So these are the various headings. And what is the expected outcome? So this is the most important thing as far as funding agencies are concerned. Why? Because this expected outcome, if it aligns with the priority of those funding agencies, then the chances of receiving funds are more. So if you are doing research in some area which is not relevant for ICMR, or which is not in the list of priorities of ICMR, then ICMR will not give you fund. But for that area, MHS may give the fund, because that area may be relevant for MHS. So it is very important to identify which funding agency you should seek, depending on the priorities of those funding agencies. Okay. These are the budget heads I have already explained. Drugs and lab investigations, calibration of instrument, that can also be a head. So these are all possible heads under which you can ask for the budget. So these are the contents of the protocol. Thank you very much. Now, as this is a workshop, I expect that I'm giving you one topic here: effect of iron supplementation on hemoglobin levels among pregnant women, a double-blind randomized controlled trial, Within next 10 minutes, I expect that you should write the research question, aims and objective. I could not introduction because it will be lengthy, but at least research question, aims, objective, hypothesis, and in short methodology. And I want one of you to come here and present all this within 10 minutes. It will take hardly 5 minutes, so I'm giving you 10 minutes. Please complete it and present it. Whatever sample size and sampling method, don't write that. At least you should write research question, aims, objective, hypothesis, and in short methodology. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Actually, I want this session interactive, so I have finished as early as possible. And I would like to devote the remaining time for interactive session of question and answer.
Before proceeding, we'll felicitate our one of the guests, Dr. Vittal Dharke sir. He is professor and head medicine department, Vaishampayat Medical College, Solapur. I request Dr. to felicitate Dr. Vittal Dharke sir. Vittal Dharke sir is Dean of Faculty of Medicine, Literature, Nashik. He has 38 years of clinical experience in medicine department. Now, questions are welcome. Yes.
I want many questions.
One thing you have mentioned in your slide about the CTR trial. My question is that when we are performing the academic trial at the level, is it necessary to
Yes, this is the question very frequently asked. Whenever you are doing a thesis, or whether we are supposed to register for CTR. I'll say yes. If you are conducting a trial, you must register with the Clinical Trial Registry of India. At least the users or means with all the stakeholders will come to know that such kind of trial is going on in this place. Number one. Number two, in the future, if anybody is doing meta-analysis and systematic review, he will be able to find it out. So even if it is you are doing any academic trial, I will advise to register it. Thank you.
Thank you.
From lecture hall A, any questions? Thank you, sir, for advancing our collective understanding with your beautiful presentation. I request our chairperson if they can share their views.
I guess, hello, am I audible? Hello. I guess that was quite a session, sir. I guess you almost covered everything. What does the synopsis means? Which are the different points that needs to be there in your synopsis? Even each point you have described very in simple or simple language with nice illustrations as well. I guess the protocol basically means what my UG colleagues I want to say. It's basically a document that would be required for you as for regulatory approval as well as for the grants. What, why the research or why the study needs to be done, what is to be done, how it would be done, how the participants who are there or the cases that would be protected, and even after the observations, whichever the data you have collected, how it would be analyzed. These are all the things that needs to be there in your protocol, which would be mandatory not just for your PG approval or IEC approval, even for the grants and even for your clinical approvals, isn't it, sir? I guess I would say it's like a prastav I mean सरकारी official language में जब prastav whenever we go to the dean sir we ask him for some new instruments or something he says prastav अच्छा है prastav बनाओ it includes everything like burger everything some of us might be aware of one so thank you sir that's all we will do.
I request Dr. Deepak Sada sir and Dr. Manisha Kolke ma'am for felicitate. One more. Yes. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for this.
Just
Hello. Thank you so much, sir. As you have started, it might be a sleepy session, but I appreciate it was a literally an eye-opener session, and it was an eye-opener for protocol writing. And definitely, I assure that among our students will come forward to write a protocol.
I request our chairpersons to felicitate our guests. Dr. Deepak Sada sir, Dr. Manisha Kolke ma'am will felicitate our guest speaker, Dr. Sachin Umbre sir, for his beautiful presentation in very lucid language. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. It was indeed a great session. Thank you, sir. Let us give a huge round of applause again.
Good afternoon, everybody. Respected Dean Dr. Mughal sir, our managing council member and today's lecturer, Sir Mumbre sir, MHS. I want to tell you it is a very good lecture. Today had lot of lecture I have attended at Ashwini Medical College also. He is very fond of research. Basically, you see his passion is research. I think sir has 2-3 indexing journals he is presenting. He has got good rights and he read lot of papers he published. And he is I have seen his mastery in research. You can learn lot of things. I think Dr. Mungal sir knows better because they are very good friends and they frequently meet. He is also, we are working together, Mungal sir, Mumbre sir in university also. He is dean of faculty, managing council member twice. And he is very active participant in MHS also. I think I was listening all this synopsis. We have added more than 35 PG students in medicine for research and this thesis. So it is basic values, score and all this. We have got lot of queries from students who are presenting the thesis, various games, why and what use this, use this. So basically it is a very important topic you can learn. And you can, as far as person you ask some questions, they are very good questions. And for particular, I think I want to tell one thing, this is a very unique conference, the first national research. It is very unique project. रिसर्च में आपण थोडा मागे असतो त्यामुळे हा रिसर्च थोडा स्टिम्युलेटिंग पार्ट आहे सगळ्यांनी याचा लाभ घेऊन थोडासा त्यावर प्रयत्न करावा एवढीच अपेक्षा थँक्यू.
Now I request Dr. Ravi Dale sir to felicitate our chairperson, Dr. Deepak Sada sir.
Chal.
But I also request Dr. Ankush Astole sir to felicitate Dr. Manisha, Dr. Jyoti ma'am from Biochemistry Department to felicitate Dr. Manisha. Thank you, Dr. Tale sir, Dr. Duhalkar ma'am. Thank you. I'll hand over the mic to Dr. Ankush.
Now, we are moving to our next session, that is panel discussion. We are starting this session with a very famous quote by Robbie Sharma. Getting lost along your path is a part of finding the path you are meant to be on. That is very nicely written quote. I would like to call upon stage for this panel discussion Dr. Sachin Mumbre sir, Dr. Yogesh Gaurvi sir, Dr. Satish Bhatte sir, and Dr. Vijay Noble sir for this panel discussion. And the panel discussion is on careers in research. What paths can we choose? That is very interesting panel discussion will be. And for this session, chairpersons will be Dr. Nandakishore Karwa sir and Dr. Aarti Barge madam. Please. For panel discussion, the moderator is Dr. Deepak Salu sir. Since there are no chairpersons for the panel discussion, sorry for that.
A very good evening to all of you, my dear friends, colleagues, my sir Nagesh from Nagad. Who's from Nagad, please students? They can come here. Empty chairs. A very good evening to all of you. I guess we are already a very short of time. I guess our speakers already have some pre-scheduled programs. That's why we are keeping this session very short. I'll be asking some questions to the speakers or researchers, may I say. But because of short of time, I am asking a very few questions. We are not accepting any questions today from students as well. We will, if you have any questions, we will cover it tomorrow. Fine. Okay, we will accept some of the questions with the permission of speaker. So let me begin with an honest confession that we came to this medical college. We came here not for research actually. We tried to come or we came here to be a clinician. Some of you might be imagining yourself in busy OPDs. Some of you might be imagining yourself in some operation theaters. Or some of, like me, might be imagining like we are the teachers, but research comes by chance. Usually, the research first of all comes in your PG training. Then after once you complete PG and when you will come in your academics or in your colleges, as sir has a very nicely already described, suppose it is a promotion or something, we get introduced once more time to your research. And at times, even our PG guide insists us, you should do something. Then we try to do something. But I would say during the journey, it start to feel for many of us like a burden. Very few of us, like these esteemed speakers, are really think of research as something very meaningful. They can use this research as a tool for the questions they are having or they might face, they have incurred. So today's discussion is not about how many papers you should publish, what are the citations that you should be looking for. This session is very much fundamental. Can research be a meaningful career path? And if yes, what does that path actually look like for the medical as well as some dental professionals like us? Is it only for the academically gifted students or is it for everyone, even the average students like me? Many of the doctors here are very much confused. Even me at times. Many of says now I want to do some research. Yeah, it's already very much late. You should do PhD. Some of me say you are already done publication, it is enough. Some of will say you should join some better institute. Some of will say you shouldn't join any institute. Many opinions and all opinions are chaotic or very much confusing. That's why we are here with some experts who have not just read about it. That's why it won't be a much theoretical. They have a practical insight. They have followed the journey of a research, and I guess no better person are there that would answer all of our doubts or queries. So I would start the session. First question actually is for everyone. Even if I am asking some questions to one particular panelist, any other panelist is open to answer as well, or he wants to add anything. I would start with very personal question actually. What kind of researcher? This is a general question. I am asking these questions to all the panelists actually. Any of you, if the time restricted, can answer. What kind of researchers are you today? I mean, how you look yourself as a researcher?
Really a personal question.
I know the question might seem very easy, but it is difficult.
What's one? Can you hear me? Okay. It's really difficult to label oneself as this kind of researcher. It's really difficult. Because if you have open mind, critical thinking, common sense, you can do research in any area, but somebody will definitely have some focused areas. And for myself, I look at the health system researcher who wants to study the health system and improve the health system. Operational research or implementation researchers, kind of researchers I look and myself look at that kind of research.
So the question has got a lot of spectrum as such.
Yes.
Because when you ask someone that what kind of research you are today, so you have to, like I thought of when I started my first research, that was as a PG student. Then when did I publish my first article? That was when I was assistant professor, and then over a period of time I started publishing. So if I just introspect and think about the journey of so-called researcher, which I do not consider myself to be a avid researcher, is starting from very basic stuff. Like my first, apart from this, is my first article was the pattern of ANC utilization by tribal women in Thane districts of Maharashtra. So I went to a tribal area, I studied their pattern of ANC utilization. We did some research and that we published. So that was my first research paper. Gradually over a period of time, I shifted, so it was more of MCH, and now as I keep on doing research, was part of different research teams. Now I have developed that inclination towards vaccine and immunization. So nowadays I do a lot of research activities related to vaccine immunization. And in recent past, after COVID-19, even during COVID, I was part of some of the vaccine studies. Post-COVID, gradually I am developing interest in One Health because that was a point when we realized that a human cannot survive in like solely. You need to have a very good environment, you need to have its very good surrounding. So if I have to put down in one line what kind of research I am today, I want to put myself as a inclusive researcher. That's my take.
Actually,
If you ask me also, there is not a single domain or any researcher can't work in a single domain. Just like sir, I was very much interested initially in maternal child health as well as nutrition. My first research started with my post-graduation thesis. That was on breastfeeding practices in mothers of children less than 6 months of age. And I found that there was a lack of knowledge, or the gap in the knowledge between the mother of the mothers, that the mothers were not exclusively breastfeeding these children. So that research I conducted, and my first publication was also on this breastfeeding practices. Later on, I conducted research on infectious diseases also, even simple practice like hand washing practices also. So later on, again, I conducted a study on medication technology also. One of the topic in medication technology also I published. So not a single domain is there, but we have shifted from the our topic of interest to some other topics as well. So many topics are there, but definitely I would like to work in nutrition, the field of nutrition.
Instead of labeling myself as a researcher, I will be better. It is a learner because the research area is very vast and it has many aspects to learn from that research question to the treasure of software. So I'm a methodology driven researcher because I'm very much having a problems about when we execute any kind of study design in the research. So I want to use a different kind of study design for every time. So I am always thinking about a different study design should we use for the particular research question so that we can simplify that research and we will get the better results for that. Thank you.
actually, next question is also a bit personal one. भी एक्चुअली बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि इंसान को पढ़ना बहुत जरूरी होता है isn't it? So we are trying that. So as Baurli sir already said how the journey of the research started in his life. Even his Bhatia sir has also described very well how it all started, but how it persisted. I guess the journey of research is not very much tiring. At times, it is Like it starts to feel like a burden. So how the research journey got so much meaningful for you, sir? This question is also open for all the participants. How the journey started? I mean, consistency, meaningful as well. It's a both.
इतना कुछ नहीं रहा अभी तो शुरुआत actually it started with compulsion initially. Let me confess. Initially, it was PG thesis was a compulsion, and while I was doing statistics in the morning, I had asked one question: How many of you are aware of statistics? Or they do statistics? But there were so many complex things with the statistics, and that was the first trigger in me to change some things and make them simple. And that was the trigger. It generated out of a problem or somewhat compulsion. No softwares are available in 90s. The journey started there. And then publication subsequently, that was a part of the process. It automatically happened. Publications, not too many publications, but publications of good quality and outcome. That is the aim in my journey. Not quantity, but quality. And it is going on. So it started with compulsion and now continuing because I am seeing definitely the society is getting benefited. That's why it is continuing.
I would also like to say something about this. Sir has told that the research was compulsory for me. But in case of me, the field was compulsory for me. I never wanted to be a doctor. I never wanted to be in medical field, frankly. I wanted to be an engineer always. So I was very much interested in mathematics. But when I took admission on MD Community Medicine, I again got an opportunity to learn statistics and epidemiology in that field. And the most important thing that I would like to say that I got guidance from Mumbre sir since my first day of PG. He was assistant professor at that time. And he is an expert in mass wave statistics and epidemiology. So looking after him, I also developed some more interest in statistics and epidemiology. So he is conducting one workshop every year in his college, and we are going for the same workshop to learn research methodology as well as the most important component that is statistics and epidemiology. So his interest created interest in research, interest for me as a researcher.
Thank you, Professor. That was like, sir has said society is getting benefited. That's why the research uh, kept as a meaningful for you. I guess, as sir has very nicely said, I would like to say, sir, as sir has said, that society is getting very much benefited by his research. I just came to know about there's a software is there for biostatistics. It is his own invention. That is what BGSM. BRSM. And let me tell you, this is a complete open access website. There is no any subscription fees for it. I also came to know that some company has approached sir to get that software in some crores, but still he denied that proposal and kept it open for any student. Next question is for my dear students regarding career landscape as a research. Many of students come here, they say, sir, I like research, but what does that mean as a career? So, next questions I would request Dr. Mumbre sir to answer. What are the real research career paths available today for medical graduates, even dental graduates?
This is very relevant question as far as the students are concerned. The research landscape is quite a big landscape. It is starting from the academic research or a physician scientist, what we call the scientist which we practice, to a full-blown scientific, with the scientists in research organizations, apex research organizations like ICMR. And this spectrum includes the academic research while working in government agencies like epidemiologists or the data analyst, the research while working with non-governmental agencies at national level and at international level, such as WHO or PHFI. Have you heard about PHFI? So Public Health Foundation of India. So these are so many non-governmental organizations where the career opportunities are available. Government organizations are there where the career opportunities are there for a vivid researcher who has the open mind. I think Dr. Shetty sir is sitting here, he is working with the government agency, and he is also conducting so much of research. Means not like, means research means which adds some new knowledge to the existing available knowledge. This is research. So he is also adding a lot of knowledge. So while working with government agencies, non-governmental agencies, you can do PhD, you can do postdoctoral research, you can work for apex organizations, right from scientist B to scientist H. So many career opportunities are available in ICMR, in non-governmental organization, in WHO. So research, this landscape is quite a big one, and you should not think that there is no opportunity for research. In fact, the opportunity for research, this area is very less, comparatively explored less. So the demand supply is not that much. Instead you will get more opportunities in research areas.
Uh, I'll add one point here. So, why do someone become a researcher? See, I'm not a researcher in true sense. I'm an academician. But if the same question would have been posed to me when I was doing UG, that whether you would like to become a researcher, I would have had two, three things in my mind. Whether it is a career, whether it is going to give me good money, the so-called settlement in life, and recognition. That is what we become doctor for, isn't it? That we are, at least our parents, people will know you. They will call you Dr. Saab and all that. Okay. So that is what researcher will also get the same thing. So researcher has got both the benefits. One is the personal motives like name, fame, money, settlement, and there is something called the altruism. That is, altruism is nothing but doing good for society. And research career has got both these options. And it's not like that a researcher doesn't earn a good or handsome amount. There are, I know some of the researchers who have made their career out of research. They have patented their idea, and whenever their idea or the product is used in the world, they get 30% royalty. So even if you don't use it, you are still going to make it money out of it because someone is using your idea. So there are multiple options. So if you're just looking at research as a career, yes, that's actually a very good career. And sir has mentioned there are research organizations in India. So apart from ICMR, PHFI, there are plenty. Even WHO is a research organization. It has got a research component, and that is one of the largest NGO. I'll say it is an international NGO. So there also they have research opportunities. So research as a career is always a good thing. That's one. Second, you can make impact in the policy. So for any policy change these days, the government wants evidence. तो एविडेंस कहाँ से आएगा? जब तक हम रिसर्च नहीं करेंगे, जब तक डेटा नहीं होगा, तब तक एविडेंस नहीं आएगा. So that actually is doing good for the society.
This question would be followed by a follow-up question. Then, which are the parts or which are the areas that are still underexplored and which are the sectors or paths that are moving very fast, that you are insisting some of my PG friends and even PG friends that they should look into as a research career?
I think AI in healthcare is exponentially growing. Operational research, implementation research, these areas are also growing. This list explode. There is a scope for improvement in those areas. Second,
And AI, if you have recently released budget, Union Budget of India, if you have seen or if you have read in the newspaper, they have promised to make 100 clinical trial hubs in India, which will include government as well as private sector. So that means drug and device development would be another big boom in Indian setup. So developing molecule, conducting clinical trial and devices. So now even a smartwatch is a device. It's a medical device. So other devices. So that would be another unexplored area.
My next question to Dr. Bahruti sir, whether the research academic or non-academic. I mean to ask, is the research only for academics or even the non-academic research careers are equally valid?
This is a question which would make us think a bit, but research cannot be put into a particular category whether this is an academic research or a non-academic research. Research is research. And as Sir had said in one of his in the keynote address, that anyone can do research, isn't it? So I want to put this question to the audience, to the student audience. What is your opinion? Do you think that research can be only academic? Can it be non-academic?
Then why don't
That's
students see these? Then why don't students even see those non-academic research careers?
Maybe, sir, the reason they are not exposed to it. They usually look at their teachers, their professors, and in medical education or medical schools, we are exposed to only those who speak of their experiences. So, like I being a teacher, I will speak about my experiences when I was UG student, PG student. I had never worked in research industry as such, like pharma industry or operational research industry. So that could be one possible reason that they are not exposed to the other non-academic options of research. So if there is some interaction of academic and non-academic with the student, that would expose them to the other aspects of non-academic.
Next question, we are asking this again. Research with PhD or without PhD? Is PhD training or MPH training is a mandatory for some research career, or is it we can start even in our UG education, and later on when the PhD would get would hamper or would stop somewhere on the research journey that you need to do PhD, then only you can have a next milestone, you can say.
The research landscape which I have mentioned right from academic research to full-blown scientist role, none of these roles demand formal trainings like MPH or PhD. If you are a medical doctor, MD or MS, that is sufficient for you to adopt these careers, research careers. So, legally, it is not mandatory as long as you follow the methodology. Sometimes, if you want to lead big projects, if you want to have international collaborations, if you want to represent a country, PhD is preferable. It is not mandatory. It will help you in gaining the collaborations. It will help you definitely while you are leading a project, but that is not mandatory. MPH is something different. Master in Public Health, that degree will teach you the methodology. Definitely, when you are involved in community research or health system research, that MPH degree will help, but that is not mandatory.
I think we are already short of time. I am just asking the last questions to the panelists. If someone here is silently considering research as a career, what piece of advice would you like to give them?
Only advice would be start early. So if you start early, obviously you will land up in a better position by the time you complete your PhD. But I would like to take few questions from your end.
If any,
Yes, please.
Mike.
First of all, I would like to thank you all speakers for making our day so knowledgeable and informative. My question is that, sir, for UG students like we all are here, we have our MBBS curriculum. So, what would you suggest to all of specifically UG students for starting our career in research and training our mind for research purpose?
For undergraduate students to be research oriented, you should have, again I'm repeating the same thing, you should have three things with you. Critical thinking, common sense, and one more, what was that? Curiosity. That is the most important thing. While means you have your curriculum in front of you, that doesn't mean that you should close all these three aspects. While you are studying, in fact, you have more opportunity than who are not involved in day-to-day reading. You are involved in day-to-day reading, so the opportunity is more for you people to identify gap in the knowledge and select very simple research question. Very simple, learn methodology first, and then gradually move towards more complex methodologies. So just my advice is, even if you are involved very means heavily in your curriculum, in fact that is not hindrance, that is an opportunity for UG students.
Thank you, sir.
And there are a lot of platforms for UG students to conduct research. MUHS offers one. I was expecting sir will talk about it. So there are grants available from MUHS. Similarly, ICMR also has STS, short-term studentship grants. So first year, second year students are eligible. And if your research projects are written properly, they are funded by ICMR to the tune of 60,000. So you get 60,000 rupees as fund. Okay, it's not about money, again, I'm repeating. Because in UG, it's not about money. It's about the process of learning and the benefits you would be reaping later on. Like if you are applying for some research position in future, so your CV will show that you already have a research experience. You have a publication under your belt. So all these things counts when you go for higher studies. Maybe not in India, but in other aspects, in other countries. So funding opportunities are there for UG students, and sir has said you can take time from your day-to-day life. Definitely, you can spend half an hour, 1 hour, or 2-3 hours in a week and come out with some good.
One more thing is like that have some knowledge about, gather some knowledge about research. There is one course on online course is there, basic course in biomedical research. That is conducted by National Institute of Epidemiology. It is available and it's free. So, in that, there are video lectures. If you enroll for that course of National Biomedical Research, BCBR, basic course, it is on SWAP portal. And there is series of recorded video lectures. You can listen to those lectures and you can have some basic knowledge about the research. Then go through the Google search about the short-term research projects done by the students. Okay, read some 5 to 10 short-term research projects done by other students. So, so that you will get a rough idea that what other students have studied. That you will get a confidence. These students can do that research. Why not I? Why not me? Right? That is one thing. Then you can get idea about which areas you can explore. ऐसा बैठा हुआ है और रिसर्च करना है, कुछ भी माइंड में नहीं आएगा. What's said कि critical thinking. हमारे आजू बाजू हम जब देखते हैं, whatever question comes in your mind, कि ये क्यों है, ये ऐसा क्यों होता है, that is research question. Just then you have to gather more and more information about that. If you get the answer, research over. If you don't get the answer, you have to do some experiments. You have to do the analysis. You have to do the case control study. You have to do intervention. Okay, if you आता एक रिसर्च क्वेश्चन है, ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, मैंने गूगल पे सर्च किया, उसका आंसर आया, और इसका तो रिसर्च हो चुका है. खोले ऐसा क्या है, क्वेश्चन तो हमको रोज आते हैं, हम रोज पढ़ते हैं, उसमें भी हमको क्वेश्चन आते हैं, उस पर रिसर्च करोगे, उसका आंसर मिल जाएगा, ये हो चुका है. मैं आपको that's so easy and go with it. And let us see the outcome of this conference, that at least 50 of you should apply for the short-term studentship, and at least 5 shall achieve that short-term studentship.
Some skills are needed for the undergraduate students, that learn to read the research papers which are published in the journals, assist in the projects which are conducting in the colleges. You can find a mentor, and if there are projects are running, so you can assist in their project for any small work or any type of data collection, or taking the interviews. Or also you can attend the different workshops either offline or online for getting the small foundation skills which are necessary for conducting the research. And not but this observation is most important whenever you are learning in the either OPD, OT, in the classroom, in the anywhere, because observation executes experience. That is that observation build up. The observation before execution which builds the maturity, because if you are rushing into the independent research, which will give you the methodological errors, it will give the biased results, there will be the frustration. So small skills are necessary for the undergraduate student, because research is an apprenticeship-based learning. It is like an internship. So you have to find the mentor and you have to do internship. So for learning the research, because it is not the that is a one night I will read more and more about the research, and then tomorrow morning I will do the research. It is a small skills are necessary. This is from my side.
I will try to share my experts in 2 minutes, then we can finish. in conjunction with Dean Sir's guidance and Dr. Yogesh Sir's answer. So I would like to tell you one experience regarding UG students. Sir has told that ICMR STS is there for UG students. One of our UG students at GMC Lato has conducted one ICMR STS schooling in 2018-19. His name is Dr. Pratik Kharat. He is from Washington. So he conducted a research project. It was selected by ICMR. He got stipend of 20,000 rupees. At that time it was 20,000. Now it is 60,000 rupees. And he has published his article when he was in second MBBS only. And one more, his classmates, Dr. Pratisha, she wrote 2 review articles in international journal. She conducted one case control study during her internship. That was also published in Journal of Egyptian Ophthalmology. And this research helped her to get an advantage for securing admission in USA. Now she is doing post graduation in USA. So sir has told you that you should start early. So second and first time US students have the greatest opportunity to start with this ICMR STS project, or even if you are not getting that stipend, just go for research. That will be a learning opportunity for you. Thank you.
I guess we are at the conclusion of the session. Since morning we have been listening to these esteemed speakers who were so knowledgeable, and I guess many of you might have a working process in your mind that maybe we should think of it as a career. Let it be. So, as sir very rightly described, research is not something a straight ladder. It is a very big landscape. You can start early. It is better to start early, but better late than never, I would say. You can start with or without a PhD as well. You can do it alone or with your teams as well. You can do it in college or in academics or even in the non-academics as well. So the real requirements, it is not about being the smartest person in the room. It is all about being curious long enough. What I want to say with the last one thing, research is not an obligation that you cannot survive. It's a tool that you can choose to make an impact. I thank all the panelists. I thank all the students who are patiently waiting this morning, sitting here this morning. And I conclude this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I will call Dr. Nandikishore Karwa sir and Dr. Aarti Bharti sir for presentation of moderator and our panelists. I also request Dr. Manurkar sir to felicitate Dr. Nandikishore Karwa sir and Dr. Manisha Bolke madam to Aarti Bharti. With this great panel discussion and felicitation, now let us wrap up for today.
meet tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for breakfast, and after breakfast, the sessions will start. Thank you so much.
बंद करू का? हा? हा, चालू आहे ना. ते लॅपटॉप ओपन करून
Ready?
सर बंद करू का? सर स्टॉप करू सर, स्टॉप करू.